So Manchester United have needed a midfield rebuild for a long time now, and apparently we might actually be getting one next summer. And when it comes to midfielders and names of certain players, it's really difficult to look any further than Elliot Anderson because he's absolutely tearing it up in the Premier League right now. He's been fantastic in his first few starts for England and could maybe be perfect for what we need at United. Now, one of my favourite things about Anderson as a footballer is his profile. We often put midfielders into the category of either being a 6, an 8 or a 10, and people will often ask me in live streams or in comment sections, what is Anderson? Which sort of area does he go into? None of them, but also all of them. Anderson isn't the type of player that you sort of restrict to one position. When you label Elliot Anderson, you label him as a traditional Premier League midfielder. I want you to think back perhaps 15, 16 years and the type of midfielders that were dominating the league at the time. It was players that could do absolutely everything. And that's what Elliot Anderson is. It's why he's so perfect to bring to a new club, because he can fit into so many different tactical systems. He can do so many different jobs, and we've seen that already at the start of the season for Nottingham Forest. His heat map shows that he's happy to cover every blade of grass. He's been progressively carrying the ball time and time again in the opposition half, as well as progressing the ball from these areas with his passing as well. And on top of that, he defends literally every single blade of grass. By the way, if you want more stats like that, head to xgstats.com and use code AJA10 for 10% off your subscription. You will not regret it. Now, just going back to Anderson and some of his strengths quickly, I actually said this back in June when I wanted him as a sort of sensible transfer for United. Again, we're looking at Premier League experience, but quite a young player. Not a 6, not a 10, but someone that can do everything in midfield. Elliot Anderson at Nottingham Forest. Now, I'm amazed this guy ever went to Forest. Newcastle lost themselves a gem here. When he played for Newcastle, he was clearly going to be a good player. Unfortunately, that thing called PSR got involved, and Anderson made the move to Forest, and he just hasn't looked back since then. The other thing for me that really piled in on top of all those attributes was his leadership for the England under-21s last summer, particularly in the final against Germany. It was a big game, and Anderson really stood up and to me felt like the captain of the team, the player that was leading everyone. He was taking responsibility. He was tactically sort of pulling and pushing players into different positions. It was like he knew what everyone's jobs were more than they did themselves, and he was more than happy to give those messages across. A player that drives the standards, a real leader, and all in all, a proper Premier League midfielder. So it's one thing saying that Anderson is an all-round midfielder, but what does that actually mean? Well, first of all, it means that he can pass the ball. One of the most important jobs of midfielders throughout history, particularly in the modern game, you need to be able to get on the ball, you need to be able to pass. Forwards, sideways, backwards, you need to be able to do it all, and Anderson can. The proof in the pudding really is that both Nottingham Forest and England literally run their play through Anderson. And that tells me two things. First of all, it tells me that he is an incredibly gifted player, a very good footballer. Because what good teams tend to do is find a good player and give them the ball and ask them to do stuff. Both England and Nottingham Forest do that. The other thing this tells us, though, is about his maturity, his ability to take responsibility even at a young age, to take that heavy weight on his shoulders, particularly for England, and it doesn't seem to faze him. He just goes about his business. His business is passing business. He is great at moving the ball forward, always playing with his head up. So when he gets the ball, he's always trying to move the ball forward for his team. Now, this is a positive. Sometimes we can look at this in a negative way. A player that is trying too many Hollywood passes, spamming the ball forward for the sake of it when the options aren't really there. But Anderson isn't like that. His passing selections are really good. When possible, he wants to move the ball forward through the lines, over the top, perhaps out wide. Absolutely. But if the pass isn't on, he won't then force it. He then has sort of the maturity and the intelligence to slow down and just play the safer pass and keep the ball for his team. So he knows always that he has the ability to move the ball forward, but if it's not on for the team, he will play safer, and I think that's important. What I also like about Anderson is that he can do it with both feet, and those of you that have been around the channel for a long time will know that I value this extremely highly. Any footballer that can play with both feet is going to have a massive advantage because it doubles the angle with which they can play. Often when we talk about a central midfielder, we sit them in midfield, we give them the ball, and we have them facing play, like this situation here. We say that right footers typically tend to pass to the right-hand side, and left footers typically tend to pass to a left-hand side. When you've got a player who can do both, who can use his left foot and his right foot, it increases the angles with which you can play. And that gives you an advantage on the ball, because the opposition, when they're closing you down, when they're sitting deep against you, they don't necessarily know which way you're going to go. It makes you less predictable, which is absolutely something that United need, and Anderson has the ability to do that. Realistically, he's got every pass in his locker. He can play it incisive through the lines to cut open the opposition, he can play a cute ball round the corner, or he can sit just in front of his defence and ping a long pass over the top to an on-running forward. He has literally every pass available to him, and he can pass under pressure. These are his numbers from last season for passes within just a couple of seconds of winning the ball back, which means the opposition are going to be really close to him because he's only just tackled them, but still his passing under pressure is absolutely fantastic. And again, that sort of points to a really good temperament and the technical quality to deal with the ball. Now, the other thing that Anderson does really well is he carries the ball and he drives with the ball and he sort of drags his team up the pitch. If we go to a similar stat in terms of carrying once you've just won possession back, Anderson was extremely impressive last season. And the reason why I've used those last few stats from last season is to show that this isn't just a purple patch right now. He's been a very good player for a long time. Newcastle never wanted to let him go. It only happened because of financial fair play reasons. In terms of quality as a footballer, I think he's going to grow up and mature to be one of the best players in the Premier League in midfield because he is so well-rounded. And like we said, that was his passing earlier. Now it's his carrying. His technical ability is phenomenal. And what he does really well is he sort of draws players towards him with a sort of laid-back approach to the ball before then speeding up and just burning past them. And I think that's really important. He plays with a lot of disguise to his game just to give himself a little bit of space to work with. It's not about opening up 10 yards of space. It's about giving yourself a little bit of room to work with, having the physical ability, the upper body strength to be able to deal with that contact in the middle of the park before then going past players. Anderson does it absolutely brilliantly, both for England and for Forest, and he also did it for Newcastle. The disguise with which he played, the mobility, the agility, the ability to turn on the spot was all really impressive, and it's something that Anderson has been showcasing for a long time. It was only a matter of time before people really caught on to what he could do. The carrying is good, the dribbling is good. But what I like is the sort of variety. He can do that long-range carry over 20 or 30 yards perhaps, where you're really dragging your team up the pitch and you're going on a driving, powerful run. He can do that. But he can also do those sort of brief moments of acceleration where he almost scampers forward a little bit more. So he might be under pressure in midfield. He can't drive 100 yards this time. He's just got to escape the defender. He's got the ability to do that. And that, combined with his passing, makes him a really useful player on the ball because he can get out of pretty much every situation. So the next question is one of tactical fit. If he was to sign for Manchester United, let's say next summer, if he was to play under Ruben Amorim, let's assume he's still in charge of the club, how would Anderson get on? Well, I'll tell you now, I think he would get on absolutely fine. First of all, he's got the benefit and the advantage of the fact that he's already played a lot of Premier League football and English football at lower levels. He knows the English game. Intensity, physicality, things like that are not going to be a shock to him. It's nothing new to him. He's done it throughout his career, so it's not a problem at all. That's great. The other reason why I feel that Anderson can go pretty much anywhere in the world, including United, and be a success is because of what we said right at the start. He's well-rounded. A lot of the time when we look at midfielder, we think about the ideal partner that they need. Perhaps I'm good at dribbling, but I'm not very good defensively, so I need someone next to me who can help me with the defending. When you take Anderson, he's excellent at passing, he's excellent at dribbling, he can carry the ball, and today we haven't even discussed him defensively. He wins the most duels like a lot of weekends. This guy gets stuck in, he's got amazing mobility to cover a lot of yards defensively, really good work rate, and he's strong, he's got a bit of grit to him, he's a bit of a nuisance player really to attack against. He's not someone you want to play against. I can imagine after a 90-minute match, you know you've played against Anderson because he doesn't mind getting stuck in and giving you a bit of a kick and a bit of a boot. But sometimes you need that. And all of those things wrapped into one means that Anderson is an incredibly well-rounded player which could go into most systems and succeed. That includes the Manchester United system. He could be someone that plays as the number 6 for United. Let's say you put in someone different alongside him. Let's just go Kobbie Mainoo for now because he suits this sort of role. Anderson could play as a 6 like he does for England, sit in front of the defence and be the orchestrator, the player that dictates every single move. You could give him the ball and he operates as your deep lying playmaker. Anderson can do that. In another world, what you could do is push him further forward into the 8 zone, perhaps where Bruno Fernandes tends to play at the moment. And you could ask him to be creative. You could ask him to be a driving force, a progressive weapon really. Someone that can carry the ball through the middle of the pitch, but also someone that can play the longer passing game. We know that Amorim puts a focus on quick passes into the channels, and Anderson is more than capable of playing those passes round the corner, both on the right-hand side, like this, but also over on the left-hand side as well. I think Anderson would actually fit like a glove in this system. But the great thing is, If something was to happen and we were have to change manager and we needed to go to a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, or we wanted to become more defensive, or we wanted to become more expansive, I think Anderson could do a job in literally any of those circumstances, and that's the sort of thing that makes him a good signing no matter what we do. Now, if you couldn't tell, I'm a big fan of Anderson. I go on about him in group chats all the time and probably annoy my friends a little bit. We were speaking about him in a video in June, saying that he would have been a sensible transfer for United at the time. I didn't actually predict a start to the season so strong. He has really hit the ground running and been absolutely immense. I was hoping he would get a World Cup spot next summer. He's almost guaranteed to be a starter at this point, which is really how quickly he's risen over the past 6 months or so. He's a quality footballer, and the sort that Manchester United should be all over. It might be too late for us. We might have missed our opportunity in terms of the finances. He's going to be an expensive boy now because he's very, very good at football, and suddenly the whole world seems very aware of it. He is on the main stage all of a sudden. He's in front of the world, and he is performing at an incredible level. Like I said, almost any team could go and sign him because he can play in so many different environments. He can play so many different types of football, which is why, realistically, he's a manager's dream and why Manchester United should be all over this deal if we can somehow get it done. I don't know if we can or not. I don't know what the financial situation looks like, but you should be trying to get your hands on Elliot Anderson because he's a phenomenal footballer who I think is just going to keep getting better and better. He's got all the technical traits, all the physical traits, and his mentality, his leadership skills as well are excellent. He's a player that you should go and sign, which is quite a nice conclusion for today's video. Should Manchester United sign Elliot Anderson? Yes, please. We should absolutely be all over that. That's my final take for today, so we're going to wrap the video up there. Thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe, and get your notifications on. And as always, I'll see you in the next one.